Welcome to the Gals Guide podcast. Join us on an adventure to get to know famous and infamous women from around the world. Each of our presenters has a pick. Is she ancient history? Is she breaking news? Is she safe for work? Well, that's up to each presenter. All we know is that...
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Welcome to Season 8 of the Gals Guide podcast. We have a new season and a new theme, and we're now entering our Rebel Gal era. So that's right, all of 2025, we are going to be learning about amazing ladies who rebelled loudly and quietly, who we are all going to be looking at different aspects of rebellion throughout the whole year and share what we have learned along the way. So this month's theme within rebellion is resistance rebels. And resistance often involves a subtle act of non-cooperation, subversion maybe, persistence in maintaining one's own identity and values despite external pressure. So we're going to be talking about the gals who led various types of resistance. And with me are my two favorite rebel gals, the gals who are the OGs, I would say, of this glorious podcast. And so first up, she is president of Gals Guide and our head librarian, Bonnie Just Fillenworth, everybody. Yay!
Woo-hoo, Bonnie!
So Bonnie, what is just one of your rebel plans for this month?
I mean, the same thing that it is every month.
Yes, Pinky in the Brain.
No.
Perfect reference, yes.
I feel like, since it's January and we're coming out of that election,
Yep.
gearing up for the new administration, I think it's getting my shit organized
Yes.
to rebel efficiently.
I like that. Yeah. Getting those rebel plans, ducks in a row. Perfect. I love it. Next up, it's our fab book club director and vice president of Gals Guide. It's Katie Young, everybody. Yeah. So, Katie, what is just one of your rebel plans this month?
Well, I wanted to tell you guys I was going to not stop at stop signs, so it'd be something a little extreme. But I wasn't sure that that's really what we meant or what we were looking for. Yeah, a little bit dangerous too. So I think, I'm right there with Bonnie about needing to really push our rebellion and resistance. But I think on a more personal level, because it's the month of it's a new year and I'm going to do different, right? Mm-hmm. I think I'm going to do better at just saying no.
Yes.
Setting some boundaries and not doing other people's work, that kind of thing.
Can you teach me?
Right? It's complicated, isn't it?
So freaking hard. But yes, I think that's a great idea. Yes to saying no.
Exactly.
Oh, fun. Well, as for me, I'm Riru, and I'm the executive director of the Gals Guide Library. And just one of my rebel plans, it actually has to do with my word of the year. This is something that I've been doing and reflecting on, and it just always puts me back to center. One year, my word of the year was books. We built a library that year. So, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes this really kind of helps lifestyle-wise, work-wise, all that kind of good stuff. This one, my word of the year is Bond. Not like James Bond, but a little bit like James Bond. And I'm going to try not to cry as I say this, but my youngest baby is graduating this year and is probably going to be going off to college. And my oldest is going to follow. So I have about 6 months left of both of my babies being in the same house as me. So I'm trying to really take this time to bond, to make up for any crappy parenting that I have done, and really bond and enjoy the time that I have before they are independent people who are totally going to make it lovely and shine. But I will full on empty nest this year throughout this podcast series. So I will be pre-empty nesting and full on empty nesting and processing all that with different forms of rebellion. So yes, but season 8 is going to be great because it rhymes. And because of course it is, right? Yes. We're going to learn about, yes, it's got to be. We're going to learn about so many rebels, and I'm super excited because I know I need it. I need to know about my rebel ladies. So with all of that gloriousness, Should we get to Bonnie first? Bonnie, I forgot to ask you, do you want to go first and start us with your...
organizing my notes here because I had them all mixed up. No, I'm so excited because last year, or before we switched themes, we were going to do friendship.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to talk about Olga of Kiev, and I'm like, I don't think she's going to come up in friendship, but she's definitely going to come up with
Rebellion.
So I'm very excited to talk about her at some point.
It's going to be serendipitous, right? Yeah. Fantastic. Well, who do you have for us?
I have a little bit of a lady, but mostly a movement.
Ooh.
That since I listened to all the feminist goodies, I've heard about before in passing, but it got real big traction after the US election, and that is the 4B movement.
Ooh, nice. I want to learn about this. I dig it. I like how you're strapping in. You're like, okay, all right. So
it gained in popularity here after the US election.
Okay.
Where people were like, I'm done. Like, there were so many women on social media. They were like, like that was the last straw. They're like, I'm filing for divorce when they found out that their either husband voted for Trump or like just didn't vote at all. So they're like, no, like that's it. I'm done. It's a movement that started in Korea, and it's kind of like one of these overlapping waves of feminist movement shenanigans. They first had the Escape the Corset movement around 2018-ish, and that was kind of like rejecting, like, I don't want to say the typical women's struggles with stuff, but like they've got, like the beauty market there that like women are expected to wear makeup and have long hair and just be pretty for the male gaze. Kind of like we've got, the Me Too movement here overlaps with the Women's March and several other things. They're Venn diagrams of
feminism awesomeness. Yes.
But in Korean, the 4B movement, it's named the 4B because in Korean, and I'm not going to try to say the words, but they all start with the letter B, because I think it's from no, but it's no dating men, no having sex with men, no marrying men, and no having children with men.
Ooh, I like it. It's like the 4 no's, but this is the 4 B's. Got it.
Yes. And a lot of it came from, well, I don't think the original inspiration, but a big thing of it, kind of like the Me Too movement, started before, I forget what it was. Was it Hollywood people coming out?
Yeah.
But it actually had started with, is it Tanner Burke?
Yes.
Burke?
Yep.
So I think kind of parallel to that, there was a novel called Born 1982 from, I did not look how to pronounce her name, Cho Nam Jo, is I think it's CHONAM-JOO. But it's a book that follows a Korean woman's life with her several run-ins with gender discrimination, with footnotes at the bottom with like stats and statistics to back up what hey, this is a reality. Like, this is like, it's a novel, but these things happen.
That's a nice mix of novelization and historical stats. I love that.
And it sounded like I was reading through the summary of the book. But it sounded like it kind of starts and ends with her having like a mental breakdown with like dealing with her husband. So it's like a yellow wallpaper vibe. So if you like the yellow wallpaper,
it's hard to like the yellow wallpaper, but I get what you're saying.
I feel like the yellow wallpaper is like one of those things that you read in school that sticks with you.
It does. Yeah. And Katie picked it for when we had Short Story Club, which was
I think that was like
mind-blowing.
One of the first things we read during COVID. I'm trying to make sure I've got all my notes in order here.
Gotcha.
So it's been around for a couple years now, And because that's been around, South Korea's birth rate has drastically dropped.
Coincidence?
They are in their find out era.
I love it.
Which seems like, like 2024 was the fuck around for us, and 2025 will be the find out era.
Yes.
They to maintain a population rate, you need to have a 2.1 rate, which is every woman needs to give birth to 2.1 children on average, and they have like another rate that's like per 1,000 women or something. Their current rate is 0.78.
Oh, snap.
It's the lowest birth rate in the world. And the government has spent the equivalent of $200 billion to try and fix the problem.
Fix. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I was trying to like look up all the little statistics because I've seen other people reporting on other things. So I was trying to go through and find the original stuff. But other people were saying that like these things that the government is doing to try and fix the birth rate problem is giving women like an extra week of maternity leave.
Oh.
Or incentivizing them to have like a tax cut if you have a baby.
Sure.
I think it's only for that first year that the baby's around. And it was something really low, like the equivalent was like $1,000.
Right.
Like nothing near
$10. Please have another baby.
Yeah. Like it was nowhere near what it actually costs to raise a child
for 18 years. Yeah. Fun.
But yeah, they have similar issues. I think a lot of women around the world have with beauty standards. They have a real bad that, especially with it being like an Asian country, you get that kind of weird Asian fetish stuff going on too.
Young school girl vibe that happens every now and again. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they're expected to wear makeup. Makeup's like a big thing over there on the makeup market. They're expected to have the long hair. They're supposed to like look really youthful all the time. They're still like allowed to go to school. But you're expected to look pretty doing it. And when you get a job, they can just not hire you if you're not married because they expect you're going to get married and have babies. They can fire or not hire you or fire you because you are married and may have babies. Mm-hmm. And they may not let you return to work because you had babies.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Oof, and then here in the US, our gender pay gap is, I think last time I checked, it was about 77 cents for a white woman's compared to a white man's dollar in the US. Mm-hmm. And it goes down for women of color.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because I was listening to something the other day that said that African American women, I forget if they were saying they were the most going to college or getting degrees, but they are like the highest rate of being like essentially qualified.
Yeah,
for these jobs.
Wonderfully educated and certified and qualified.
Like men and then white women, and then I think next was Black women, and then there was Asian and Latinx.
Yeah,
but like I was like, they're the most qualified, but they're getting paid around the least.
Yeah. That's not cool at all.
No. But what's funny, not really funny, but the current president is the one that just had that attempted martial law that didn't go real well, like a month or two ago. It's the same guy. Right. And he ran on an anti-feminist platform. Mm-hmm. And he claimed that men are discriminated against.
Sure.
And Korea.
Okay. In Korea. Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he blames feminism for the low birth rate.
He's not wrong.
It's ridiculous. They've spent $200 billion trying to fix the problem instead of just listening to these women to fix the problem.
Interesting.
It's nuts. But the the movement itself has got like some issues with like some TERFs. Has been like kind of a thing. They're not real. They could do better.
Yeah, there you go. Can't we all? Yeah.
Yeah, they've got some issues with the trans community. Even so, like they feel like they're being infiltrated.
Oh,
is like the thing. And I was
solidarity.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Like, if you see, you know, a person who's born male identifies as female, and they're willing to transition, and go through all this stuff with you, and be equally discriminated against, and you're going to turn your back on them.
Right.
Does not sound very cool. But they've been doing some stuff where they've been actually, when they've been having like meetings or whatever, they've been checking IDs for the gender, and their testing for gender, I believe, was trying to show if you have an Adam's apple.
Oh my goodness, no.
not good.
Yeah.
And they do not, like, just in general, see gay men as allies.
Gotcha.
They're still, I mean, I'm not sure what the LGBTQ situation is over there, but they're still men, still benefiting from the stuff.
And there's still men, I'm sure, that are totally willing to help the glorious 4B movement as well. To be like, right on, sister, say no to those things.
Yeah. I had found an article that had a book that I took a picture of.
Yeah.
I didn't have time to read. In fact, it was checked out of my local library.
Ah.
And it was Flowers of Fire by, it's HOWON and then JUNG. The inside story of South Korea's feminist movement and what it means for women's rights worldwide is now on my reading list. This person writing this article was talking to them, I think.
Yeah.
Or had just read the book. And that author had said that the arguments for 4B, according to the woman involved, that the author of that book spoke to, came down to being tired of the patriarchal culture ingrained in the institution of marriage, societal pressure to marry and to have children, and intimate partner violence, and lack of protection from victims. These women choose to boycott marriage and even romantic relationships with men until society and men change how they treat women.
Wow.
And says there aren't definite numbers on how many women are in the 4B movement in South Korea. Those who identify as feminist in Korea are subject to harassment.
Well, of course.
Imagine speaking out against harassment causes you to get more harassment. Harassment, bullying, career setbacks, and even job loss and violence. So some 4B followers don't share it publicly.
Yeah, fair, right?
My dog is behind me rolling.
Oh, puppy fun. Yes.
So, yeah, this is like a whole thing. I was trying to look up, like if you are married, can you still participate in the 4B movement? I think we will have aspects of that, especially with reproductive rights in the U.S. I think there are a lot of women who may have been wanting to have kids or thinking about having kids, and definitely in the next 4 years are not going to be having kids because it's too risky. Your life
could hang in the balance. Yeah.
Yeah, birth period is risky business.
Yes.
But there's so many unnecessary laws that are making it ridiculously risky now.
Yeah. Yeah, very much so. I just saw that the Indiana legislator, because this is the introducing bill time, so none of these are actual bills yet, these are just being presented, that it would be illegal to possess a abortion pill, let alone, and also if you administered one as well. So if I just had some plan Bs to help out my sister friends, that would be against the law for me to even just possess them, is one of the new legislative laws they're trying to get passed in Indiana. So yeah. It's gonna be fun. Stay vigilant. Stay aware.
Yeah, I saw people talking about the one with for schools that if in a particular, I forget what the boundary cutoff was, like county or something, if
Right.
50% of the kids in that district or in that county don't go to that school district, if they go to private schools, charter schools, or homeschooled, whatever, they're just going to dissolve the school, which will mean no IPS,
Right.
the largest school district in the state.
Yeah. That's great.
And they're like, what are those kids supposed to do?
Right, exactly. Yeah.
It's also illegal to not educate your child.
Right.
You're not just gonna, stay home and homeschool your child if you have to work.
Right, exactly.
Like, I don't know. I don't get the whole school choice shenanigans.
Right, exactly. Yeah, no, I don't either. But yes, that is where I keep looking with what's going on in the legislative session. You know what also the 4B movement reminds me of too? So I think it was an ancient Greek story, and Bonnie, I lean heavily when it comes to an ancient Greek story with you. Is that where you're going next?
No, but I know it's Roman, I think.
Is it? Okay, because...
or no, yeah, it's Greek.
Okay, because my boy Spike Lee made a movie of it. I think it was called Chi-Town. It was a group of women in Chicago who decided that they would no longer have sex with their husbands until things changed. And then based on, taking the sex away to see if things will change in a household. So it has elements of that for me that I was just kind of like, yeah, I like the fuck around and find out kind of aspect to a movement of, oh, you want real change?
Yeah, it's a Greek play. I don't remember if it was based out of historical events, but it's a bunch of women are protesting the Peloponnesian War.
Okay.
And they decide they're not going to have sex with their husbands anymore.
Yep.
And it's like a comedy. And I remember hearing about the story going through my classical studies in school, and I remember like as soon as I graduated, my first trip to Barnes and Noble, I got the book that has it, and I haven't read it yet. It starts with an L.
Oh, does it? Okay. All right. The Spike Lee movie was Chirac. I had to look it up. It was a very interesting movie. And I was like, ooh, Spike's working on some things.
Greek play, no sex with men.
Exactly.
Yep, Lyceria.
Lyceria. Okay, there we go. Interesting. So I'm just saying it's the whole movement, the 4B movement it's grounded in history.
There's been like several waves, and the guys are not the men are not stepping up to fix the problem. They've recognized there's a problem.
Step one.
they're trying to do some things that they think may fix it, but they're not actually listening to the women and what they actually want. It's so weird.
Yeah, it is.
This is the same guy who recently got arrested. Well, I don't remember if he got arrested yet. I think I heard that they went to his house to arrest him and then didn't end up arresting him.
Oh, okay.
Person for the coup, like I think he's going to be, if he's not already out of government, I think he's going to be out.
Okay, gotcha.
And yet the whole thing was giving very, when it was getting traction for the U.S. after the election, the guys are like, well, I'm going to start in my 5, I forget what the word, they're like, we're going to do the 5B movement.
Yeah.
Because men get so pissed.
Yeah.
That they're not getting access to these women. Like that's been a trend for a few years in the US. A lot of women just are not dating men.
Right.
And so there's a men loneliness epidemic.
Yeah.
And they just want to get angry and blame women instead of like listening.
Working on the problem.
It's giving very much the man or bear question. Was that, I think it was like earlier this year.
Would you rather be in the woods and be alone in the woods with a man or with a bear? And yes. Geez, surprisingly, woman after woman just, yeah, I'll be alone with a bear.
Because the worst thing that a bear can do to you is kill you.
Mm-hmm. Right? Exactly. Yeah. No, this is very
And then,
true.
like, all this was happening around the same time as, I don't even remember his name, the dude who, I'm sure many of them were saying it, but there was one particular dude who was like, "Your body, my choice."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
So he got up on some kind of public platform and said that, and then he was getting backlash from it. So he went to stay at his mommy's house.
I didn't hear that part of it. Wow.
20 or something.
Mm-hmm.
So he's staying in his mommy's house because he doesn't feel safe.
Okay.
And then some lady was out, I think, like walking her dog or something, and passed some other person. They're like, "Isn't it where the one guy's mom was?" And she's like, "I don't know. Let's find out." Knocked on his door.
Oh.
And this little dude is so terrified hiding in his mommy's house. He answered the door, but immediately started macing her.
Oh my gosh.
So now he has a lawsuit to deal with because that is battery. You can't just mace someone for knocking on your door.
Right. Yeah. Oh my goodness gracious. It's amazing what fear and anger will bring people to. My goodness gracious. Sweet. Katie, did you have any questions for Bon on the 4B movement?
No, but that's really cool. I hadn't heard about that at all. So very new info to me and very interesting. Great resistance. Yeah.
I like it. Did you want me to wrap it up for us, Bon? Sweet. Well, that wraps it up for this week as our very first episode of season 8. So join us next week as another Resistance gal is picked to share as the Gals Guide podcast continues. Thanks for listening. Want to learn about more women of history? Gals Guide opened a unique women's history lending library. Come visit and explore our collection. Learn more at galsguide.org. Thanks for listening.